Hello everyone, this one is going to be about tax time. Now before you start screaming that it's too early for tax time, it really isn't. It's something having to do with that you just need to keep up every single day, and I will explain why. This video is directed toward the home care personal support workers. Those of you watching who may not know what that is, well, you may have heard of facility personal support workers. Well, here's the main differences. A facility personal support worker drives to the facility, does their 8 hours, and drives home. If anything goes wrong, they have a nurse to back them up. There's another PSW on the floor to help them out, or there's someone else on the floor to help them out with lifts and that sort of thing. With us, our vehicles are our offices on wheels. We drive from home to home to home and from town to town to town. We can do a 12-hour day, but only get paid for 8 of those hours because those are the hours that we ended up working, the other 4 being the ones that we've driven. We get paid a pittance per kilometer, which is not enough to cover our vehicle expenses, the gas, the insurance, any of that stuff. And we get paid $5 to $10 an hour less than our facility sisters and brothers. And we're not respected as much as they are. It's just the way things are, and we're like, you know, we do the same thing. We don't have backup when we're out there either. I've walked in on situations, you don't know what you're walking into. I walked in on someone having a stroke one time. So you have to be able to think fast and on your feet and keep your wits about you to deal with those sorts of things because, excuse me, we don't have a nurse we can call from down the hall. So those are the main differences. So with us driving all over, we incur much more in the way of expenses where the vehicles are concerned, and we are not reimbursed for it. Repairs, insurance, supplies like windshield wiper fluids and blades and things like that. So when we get our tax return, our T4s at the end of the year for tax time, we also get something called a T2200. And that lays out what the company pays for and does not pay for where our vehicle is concerned. There'll be a dollar amount as to what they've paid for kilometers, and then it'll be checked off. We do not pay their repairs, we do not pay their gas, we do not pay this, we do not pay that. So, and that goes with how the expenses that we can claim. Now, a home care PSW should have a travel log of all the trips they've done. I do. I created a sheet and I do all the totals and total at the end of the year and everything. And that with the T2200 and all of my expenses, I gather together. And what you do is you take the kilometers you've driven for the year, all of them. Beginning odometer reading, ending odometer reading. You get to do the math, you get that amount. And then you total up what you've driven for work. And you do some division and you get a percentage. That percentage is the percentage you can claim of your expenses because you cannot claim them all. For me last year, it was 65%. I could claim 65% of my expenses. So I put all that together and sent it to my accountant, who then sent it off. You see, the only way you can claim your expenses is if you have that travel log to back it up, you see. And it's a simple thing. I figured out I do probably 2,000 to 2,100 visits per year on average, or at least this past year, roughly. So, yeah, the log, the receipts, I can claim the expenses. If you do not have a log, you cannot claim the expenses. I've heard horror stories of people, they put it all in, and then they get audited, and they don't have anything to show where they visited. And then there was a scramble to try to think back. I do mine. It's a little bit every day. Doesn't take that much time, and I'm covered. Well, so having said that, because we get T2200s, we have a special place in the hearts of the Canada Revenue Agency. Yes, that's right, folks. They like to audit us. They pick a bunch every year and say, you are next. Well, after 8 years, I finally drew the short straw, and I am being audited. Now, the first thing, I was offended. I thought you picking on me. I don't get paid well. You know, you've got business people who tax evade and tax avoid, and why aren't you picking on them instead of me? And then I thought, well, wait a minute. No, they're not picking on me personally. They're picking on us as a group. So yeah, there'll be a bunch of you that may have gotten a letter in the mail. The letter in the mail comes from them, and it was dated October 10th. Remember that. I received it on the 22nd because I check my mail almost every day. And what it states is, we want everything. We want every detail of every trip. Well, they're going to get the sheet the way I make my sheet. That's all I've got, right? And I've kept everything's on there. And they want all the receipts, but they want the originals of everything. And I'm thinking, oh, thank goodness I have an accountant, because they help me with that. So what I had to do was get everything together, and with the T2200 and the receipts and everything else, and send it to the accountant. Now, here was the thing. It said also, besides wanting the originals, which I panicked, I was like, oh my gosh, do I at least get them back? She says, oh yeah, you do. They wanted it within 30 days of the date of the letter. The letter was dated October 10th. Remember, I received it on the 22nd. So I called up the CRA saying, surely they'll be, reasonable, which they were. And I explained what happened, and they gave me an extension. So I wrote that on there. I'm meticulous about, keeping track of that stuff, and then gave that all over, and the accountant did their thing for a fee, of course, but it wasn't as exorbitant as I thought it would be, fortunately, and they have sent that off. Now I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking, I'm not perfect as much as I may try to be sometimes. I may have the odd little mistake on my sheet, hopefully they're a little forgiving for that sort of thing. And my thoughts, I don't know. I get the feeling they may come back at me saying I owe them. And I thought, well, if they do, they can just take it off what they owe me next year. So I no longer panic. I thought, you know what? Okay, fine. It is what it is. I will just deal with it, do the best I can, which is all I can do. And it's done, and it's sent off. And now we just wait to hear. So my advice to you is get yourself a logbook. Make yourself a sheet where you can keep track of everything. Keep all of your receipts, get a filing system to do so. Be meticulous when you do all those things. Get yourself an accountant who can do this for you. If you do get a letter for an audit, they don't use the word audit, but that's what it is. Don't panic. It's not you personally. It's just you were randomly selected to be this month's winner. And just roll with it. And go to your accountant, because they will help you with that. And it takes a lot of the pressure off of you. Anyway, if you have anything to add or you need to know any more, you can just say something in the comments. Thanks a bunch, y'all. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe, get your flu shot unless you have a medically valid reason why you can't. And I hope you have your snow tires on by now.